This is Michael Popok, Legal AF. I got a specific point of view here on this hot take about a byproduct of the New York Attorney General civil fraud case and Judge Engoron's 92-page decision against Donald Trump, Eric Trump, Don Jr., a bunch of other people, all of the Trump assets and companies. But inside of there is some telltale signs of what could happen next to Donald Trump in the upcoming Stormy Daniels case, because there's one overlapping witness. His name is Michael Cohen. I want to talk about Michael Cohen and also what the prosecutors have learned in watching Donald Trump testify and testify badly in the New York Attorney General case, a trier of fact, having made decisions about that. All of that has impact on the Stormy Daniels case that starts on March the 25th. So I'm going to talk about that as well, all on this hot take. Let's start with my basic premise. There is a rehabilitation, if you will, by Judge Engoron of Michael Cohen, which I think the prosecutors in the Manhattan DA's office are going to find very interesting and very good for their case. Let's talk about Michael Cohen for a minute. Michael Cohen, of course, is on the MeidasTouch network. Full disclosure, I'll probably be appearing on his show or vice versa soon. I like to talk to Michael about things that relate to things that he was involved with the Trump organization that he's allowed to talk about. He was a witness for the New York Attorney General to talk about how he and a team of 3 other people, including Alan Weisselberg and Matt Calamari of the Trump organization, would get together and make all the decisions with Donald Trump about insurance, which is at the heart of the fraud case, the 7 counts of fraud found by Judge Engoron against Donald Trump and others, and also that he was involved with the manipulation and the false statements made in Donald Trump's statement of financial condition that was required by various lenders and insurance companies in order to do business with Donald Trump. That's the case, plain and simple. He lied in his business. Donald Trump lied in his business records about his statements of financial condition. He lied in his personal financial statements about it. He lied to insurance companies about it. And he committed conspiracies to lie around all those things, all in violation of New York penal law, which is their criminal code, and allows under Executive Law 63-12, the New York Attorney General, who's ever sitting in that position, to go after and stop and stamp out persistent fraud in the financial marketplace or in business in general. Michael Cohen testified that he was involved with the manipulation of the statements of financial condition that, and Donald Trump was too. Now, he's not the only one to testify that way. And so Judge Engoron, in allowing Michael Cohen, of course, to take the stand for the New York Attorney General, Michael Cohen testified that he was involved with cooking the books and that Donald Trump, in his indirect way, Michael Cohen called it his mob-like voice, would tell Michael Cohen to take care of it. And Michael Cohen, after years of representing internally as Donald Trump's consigliere, knew what taking care of it meant. Donald Trump would push a button, and somebody like Michael Cohen, to use the old Godfather phrase, was a button man that would make something happen. You know, he was the Michael Clayton, if you will, the fixer for the organization, among others. And so his testimony was challenged at the trial by Donald Trump's lawyers, who said, well, Michael's a convicted perjurer. Well, that's true. Michael pled guilty to perjury in a case involving many things, including Stormy Daniels, with the federal government, and he served his time related to that. But Michael Cohen, on the other hand, is a wealth, a veritable font of knowledge about everything about Donald Trump during the relevant time period in the New York Attorney General case. And so the judge, who was the trier of fact, he made the comment in his one aspect of his 92 pages of his order, in which he summarized 11 weeks and 43 witnesses or 40 witnesses of testimony, including Michael Cohen's, that he ultimately found Michael Cohen to be credible. That yes, he could have taken the position as the trier of fact. He said a less lenient trier of fact might have taken the position that once a perjurer, always a perjurer. But he found Michael Cohen to be incredibly convincing on the stand. The judge commented on the ease and comfort at which he testified, that he was composed, that he was accurate, that he was fulsome, that he had all the indicia, all the badges of honesty that you're looking for and credibility from a witness that the trier of fact, in this case, the judge, is evaluating. And so the judge said, the other thing that goes into my evaluation of Michael Cohen as a credible witness is the fact that there were other pieces of corroborating evidence from other witnesses and documents and emails in the trial, which corroborated Michael's testimony. See, that's a good thing when a witness makes a statement, a bold statement about fraud in an organization, Donald Trump's involvement in that fraud in the organization. It's a good thing that there's other witnesses that corroborate that witness's testimony, especially if a witness's credibility has been challenged by the fact that he's committed a crime in the past or been convicted of something, such as lying under oath. And so the judge credited all of the corroborating, confirming evidence that he found in testimony from people like Alan Weisselberg, who's also likely to be convicted and plead guilty to perjury, who was the chief financial officer, who the judge found lied on the stand about Donald Trump's involvement with fraudulent statements of financial condition and lies that were made to the outside auditors and accountants for the Trump organization, Mazars, and lied to Deutsche Bank, which was the main lender for most of the loans that are at issue in the case, and that these lies all ran through Michael Cohen and or usually Alan Weisselberg, and through Donald Trump. And so he found Alan Weisselberg basically confessed at times and was uncredible. He also credited, to confirm and reconfirm Michael Cohen's testimony, the Judge Engoron credited Jeff McAn, who's a controller of the Trump organization, who worked hand in glove with Alan Weisselberg. And he found the McAn had basically lied on the stand about tax fraud related to Weisselberg, and that he got impeached on the stand in front of the judge and then had to admit that Donald Trump was involved with the changes in the statement of financial condition and the inflation, the manufacturing of value made by Donald Trump, not just about the Trump Tower triplex that was tripled in size and tripled in value, which was a major piece on the statement of financial condition for Donald Trump, but other things related to golf courses, Mar-a-Lago development, 40 Wall Street, and all the other key properties at the heart of the case. Every time somebody like McAn and Weisselberg, directly or indirectly, willingly or unwillingly, confirm Michael Cohen, it rehabilitates, if you will, Michael Cohen's testimony for the judge. And then you had other lower level witnesses within the Trump organization who took the stand, like Patrick Burney, who was a vice president that reported to Alan Weisselberg and McAn. And when you add all of that testimony up, it just, again, bolsters the testimony of Michael Cohen, increases the value of his testimony, and rehabilitates his credibility. Why is that important? Because Michael Cohen is a key witness in the Stormy Daniels hush money cover-up business record fraud case. That's a mouthful. We got to come up with a shorter nickname for that trial. That's going to start now on March 25th. Another bombshell event for Donald Trump. I'm running out of adjectives to describe the bad weeks that Donald Trump just had or is having. And so, same week on the Tuesday or so, Judge McAn, who's a state Supreme Court judge, meaning a trial level judge in Manhattan, he, after consultation with the judge in D.C., the federal judge in D.C., Judge Chutkan, which they're allowed to communicate by way of the judicial canons of ethics, they figured out that McAn and Stormy Daniels' case, dealing with issues before 2016 election, and Donald Trump trying to pay off Stormy Daniels and hide that as an election fraud in the books and records of his company, which is a crime in New York. That trial of about 30 different felonies in New York should go first. First to indict, Alan Bragg's Manhattan DA's office, first to prosecute, first to try the case, and likely first to get a conviction from a Manhattan jury. A Manhattan jury, not the same one, another Manhattan jury a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago, found against Donald Trump 17 counts of tax fraud, right? In basically the same courthouse, different courtroom, same judge, right? Same lawyers for Donald Trump. I think he brought in one new one. So this does not bode well for Donald Trump in front of a new jury now. He's already lost this would be the fourth jury in the last 2 years that would rule against Donald Trump in Manhattan. 2 federal, and 2 state. E. Jean Carroll, civil rape, defamation, and compensatory damages back in May for $5.2 million. E. Jean Carroll, another federal jury, separate one, on punitive damages against Donald Trump for blaming the victim of his sexual assault, basically. And that one was bigger, $83.5 million, right? The jury that found, not monetarily, but from a criminal justice standpoint and liberty standpoint, found against Donald Trump's organizations and Alan Weisselberg, his CFO, for 17 counts of tax evasion. That's another jury. And now we're coming up on the 4th jury starting in March for about a 6-week trial, about the same length as E. Jean Carroll, if you're sort of measuring these things, with Michael Cohen sitting as one of the lead witnesses. If I'm going to tell you who are the lead witnesses for the Stormy Daniels case, it's going to be, because Trump's not going to take the stand. All of that bravado, that false bravado, I want to be heard, only on the courthouse steps, in a press conference, at a rally, in social media. He is not taking the stand. I'd be shocked if he took the stand. When he took the stand in the E. Jean Carroll case, the jury increased the verdict from the first jury by about a power of almost 20, because they hated Donald Trump and his lawyer, Alina Habba, so much. And if he testified at the and he did part of the closing argument in the New York Attorney General case that just came out. And what was the result of that? Almost a $500 million judgment. So if he hasn't learned from those 2 civil cases that he should not testify, he should take the Fifth Amendment, I don't know what else could convince him, but it won't go well for him if he testifies. Ever try to break a bad habit and felt like you're climbing Mount Everest in flip-flops? Yeah, we've been there too. But here's a breath of fresh air. Fume. It's not about giving up. It's about switching up. Fume takes your bad habit and simply makes it better, healthier, and a whole lot more enjoyable. Fume is an innovative, award-winning flavored air device that does just that. Instead of vapor, Fume uses flavored air. Instead of electronics, Fume is completely natural. And instead of harmful chemicals, Fume uses delicious flavors. You get it. Instead of bad, Fume is good. It's a habit you're free to enjoy and makes replacing your bad habit easy. Your Fume comes with an adjustable airflow dial and is designed with movable parts and magnets for fidgeting, giving your fingers a lot to do, which is helpful for de-stressing and anxiety while breaking your habit. The first time I tried Fume, it was way more flavorful than I thought, and it feels very fresh. The look and feel of a Fume is very sleek. It's well weighted, perfectly balanced, and extremely fun to fidget with. Plus, Fume's just released a magnetic stand for your Fume, so there's no more losing it around the house. And it's built with fidgeting in mind. You can spin your Fume around on it. Start the year off right with the good habit by going to tryfume.com/legalaf and getting the Journey Pack today. Fume is giving listeners of the show 10% off when they use my code LegalAF to help make starting the good habit that much easier. Start the good habit at tryfume.com/legalaf to save 10% off the Journey Pack today. So he won't testify. So who are the witnesses? I believe there are going to be at least 2 witnesses from the National Enquirer, of all things, including the lead guy there, David Pecker, who devised with Donald Trump this scheme to pay off and have non-disclosure agreements entered into by people that Donald Trump slept with so that it wouldn't be revealed during his campaign, including Stormy Daniels, including a former Playboy Playmate, and they paid $120,000 or $130,000 apiece, including to Stormy Daniels. They hid it as a payment to Michael Cohen for legal services rendered and a bonus to Michael Cohen when it wasn't, which is a fraud in the books and records. And the second crime that's required is that it be an election, in this case, an election interference crime. So what you need at least David Pecker from the National Enquirer, because he helped devise what they call the catch and kill program, where they would catch the story, go meet with the woman, get her story, pay her for it, and then sign her to a confidentiality, non-disparagement, and a non-disclosure agreement, and then pay her off. And they did that, but Stormy Daniels basically took the money and thank God said something about it, and it got disclosed and discovered by the Manhattan DA's office in doing their investigation. So David Pecker, he's got a boss, the publisher, he'll probably testify too. But Michael Cohen has to testify. and Alan Weisselberg is still hanging in the balance. Now, let's start with Alan Weisselberg. Alan Weisselberg, CFO, Chief Financial Officer, went to jail for 100 days for his own 17 counts of tax evasion and just got called a liar again by the New York Judge Engoron, in the civil fraud case, and he quickly discounted all of his testimony. There's also reporting that he's on the verge of pleading guilty to a perjury charge for testifying in the New York Attorney General civil fraud case in a way that was false. So that Alan Weisselberg. So Alan Weisselberg and Michael Cohen worked together because the testimony from Michael Cohen is nothing financial happened at the organization without Michael Cohen and Alan Weisselberg knowing about it, and sometimes Matt Calamari, who was sort of the COO, Chief Operating Officer of all things Trump. And so Weisselberg, if he takes the stand, is so ethically and veracity truth-telling challenged that I'm not even sure what he's going to do. He'll either have to take the Fifth Amendment if he hasn't cut his deal already for perjury, which I'm sure there's pressure on that. The pressure on Alan Weisselberg between now and the 25th of March, when that trial starts, is going to be incredible, because he's like 80 years old. He's already went to Rikers Island for 100 days, and they're going to pressure him because they're either going to put him on the stand and just show the jury that he's a liar, and this is the kind of people that Donald Trump hired, and totally destroy his credibility in front of the jury, or they're going to get him to flip on Donald Trump under threat that he's going to plead guilty to another count of perjury and go away for a much longer period of time as a two-time loser felon. So we're going to watch that. And then you got Michael Cohen, who's going to be the bride at the wedding and the body at the funeral, because he's going to be one of the most important witnesses. The reason that Alvin Bragg, the Manhattan DA, took so long to bring the case is because he had to get comfortable with Michael Cohen as a witness, and he did. And now you've got a Judge Engoron, who I just described at the top of the hot take, it has basically rehabilitated and blessed Michael Cohen as a witness. Now Michael Cohen, sort of under that shining new halo, is going to, walk into that courtroom in front of a jury. He's going to have the jury eating out of his hands. You all know Michael Cohen. He comes off very credible, very convincing, very easy in his presentation. And the jury is going to eat it up and eat it alive and eat Donald Trump up alive. And he's going to say, Donald Trump, with David Pecker and me, created a fake scheme in order to hide from the media and from the public that Donald Trump was having affairs, including with Stormy Daniels, and that I was involved with the payoff, and then I got a bonus and I got money, because I laid out the money for Stormy Daniels, $130,000. This was my repayment and my bonus and my attorney's fees. But no, it wasn't for legal services rendered. It was to cover up the bribe that I made to Stormy Daniels on behalf of Donald Trump. And he's going to testify about that now with tremendous wind at his sail because of his success ultimately at the New York Attorney General case. We're going to talk to him on, of course, Legal AF. At that intersection of law, politics, and justice. The title means exactly what you think. I'm going to try to set it up so it's me, Karen Friedman Agnifilo, formerly of the Manhattan DA's office, and Michael Cohen for an interview. Maybe we can do it before the trial, or maybe just after he's testified. We'll have to see what Michael's comfortable with. But we'll do it right here on the MeidasTouch Network. We don't just analyze the news. Sometimes we make it as well with the group that we have here together, all fighting at the intersection of law, politics, and justice. So if you like these kind of hot takes, give me a thumbs up and leave a comment. It helps with the ratings, helps keep me on the air, so to speak. And then you can watch me on Legal AF on Wednesdays and Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, the leading podcast at the intersection of law, politics, and justice. So until my next hot take, till my next Legal AF, this is Michael Popok reporting.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Meidas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.